Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that dominates in today's edition for Friday 25th April 2025 and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, predicts global economic slowdown. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all, perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. In TVJ's Business Day, Antonio D. tells us the International Monetary Fund forecasts global economic slowdown due to tariffs.
President Donald Trump's tariffs are expected to have a worldwide ripple effect. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, forecasts global economic growth will slow to 2.8% in 2025. That's far below the historical average and down from the 3.3% from last year. The IMF's World Economic Outlook also predicts the U.S. economy will increase 1.8%, a full point less than it did in 2024. The analysts say this lack of financial expansion is largely due to the Trump administration's back and forth tariff policies and the counter-actions taken by U.S. trading partners.
In the meantime, tariffs imposed by the United States on CARICOM countries will be a major area of discussion when Prime Minister Gaston Brown of Antigua and Barbuda and 6 fellow CARICOM leaders meet with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington, D.C. on May 6th. The leaders of Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Grenada and the Bahamas will be raising the issue of the 10% baseline tariffs now in effect for goods from all CARICOM countries. Antigua and Barbuda's ambassador to the United States, Sir Ronald Sanders, says these tariffs run counter to the arrangements in place since Ronald Reagan was U.S. President in the 1980s. The Caribbean Basin Initiative and subsequent mechanisms facilitated duty-free access into the United States for a wide range of goods from countries in the region.
It is contrary to the 1983 Caribbean Basin Initiative introduced by Republican President Ronald Reagan and which was followed up by a Caribbean Basin Economic Recovery Act passed by the Congress in late 1983. What has happened with the provisions of that act and with the Caribbean Basin Initiative is still not clear, because under those two things, we had duty-free access to the United States market for most of the products that we produced. So we have to have a clear understanding of what's happened there.
Still from Antigua and Barbuda, that country's ambassador to the United States, Sir Ronald Sanders, says the Twin Islands state has no leverage in its efforts to press the United States to pay compensation following the ruling in the long-running gaming dispute. Antigua and Barbuda is owed hundreds of millions of dollars by the United States following a ruling by the World Trade Organization, the WTO. The arbitral award was made in favor of the Twin Islands state for the damage done to its gaming industry, but the U.S. has yet to pay compensation. Sir Ronald says he is especially disappointed how the matter unfolded, having spearheaded the move to take the U.S. to the World Trade Organization over 2 decades ago. He says the matter languished for 10 years after 2024.
I am very disappointed that it was never actually implemented. And I very much regret that the matter was left in 2004 in March to a government that was not the government that actually won the case at the WTO. And for 10 years thereafter, it languished and then became virtually unable to pick up the pieces.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick,
In association with our friends at
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Chief Executive Officer of the NWRHA Northwest Regional Health Authority in Trinidad and Tobago, Major Anthony Blake, says advanced digital systems are key in the health sector. And AmCham Trinidad and Tobago is partnering with Frederick USA to introduce the Market Access Series, designed to equip Caribbean brands to thrive in the U.S. market. Andrea Perez Sobers has more in CNC3's Business Watch.
Improving patient care through technology is critical, and Northwest Regional Health Authority CEO, retired Major Anthony Blake, says technology is a powerful tool to transform healthcare. Blake explains how the authority is pioneering a paper-light approach at the new central block at Port of Spain General Hospital.
Advanced digital systems for health management and building operations will also be deployed at the institution to ensure that our doctors and nurses can have the support and resources required to focus on efficient and effective patient care.
NWRHA Research Officer Vivek Miraj says the hope in the not-too-distant future is to integrate artificial intelligence into automating medical reports.
We hope that AI can generate that medical report for our doctor using the information put in. So doctors don't have to sit and write or type these medical summaries, these medical reports from scratch.
Blake and Miraj were speaking at Research Day 2025 at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. AmCham TNT would be partnering with Trade Trek USA to execute the Market Access Series, a new virtual event designed to equip Caribbean brands needed to thrive in the United States market. The series will kick off with its first online session on Wednesday, April 30th. This inaugural event will feature Bob Boer, President of the Association of Food Industries, presenting on the essential topic of compliance and navigating U.S. food and beverage regulations. Boer has served as president of AFI since 2022, leading the International Trade Association, which represents approximately 1,000 members companies across the globe. And now for a look at today's energy and foreign exchange prices. Andrea Perez Sobers, CNC3 Business Watch.
Chairman of the Bahamas Trade Commission, Barry Griffin, and Member of Parliament for West Grand Bahama in Bimini, Kingsley Smith, attended the Afri-Caribbean Global Business Trade Show in Ghana. Felicity Darvell of ZNS News reports.
It was a royal welcome home for Senator Barry Griffin and MP Kingsley Smith. Home because many Bahamians descend from the people of Ghana and the west coast of Africa. The Afro-Caribbean Global Business Trade Show is historic. Led by Bahamians, policymakers and business owners are pioneering new avenues of trade for our country. Senator Griffin said the Bahamas Trade Commission launched the National Trade Diversification Strategy 2 years ago for this very purpose.
We recognize that by relying on a narrow set of imports and exports makes us vulnerable to global uncertainty. In this era of shifting trade blocs and geopolitical instability, the need to diversify has become not just strategic, but now urgent. This is why we are turning to Africa. African nations can be a stable and affordable source of fresh produce, building supplies, raw materials, value-added products, and so much more for the Caribbean. In return, the Caribbean can be a vibrant, loyal, and lucrative market for African goods and businesses.
He explained why trade between both countries is beneficial.
This is only the beginning. The Bahamas sees much to do with Africa and with Ghana in particular. We are now on the ground floor of a new era, and from this level, we can build something extraordinary. African businesses looking to go global will find in the Bahamas a stable and respected democracy, a robust capital market, access to international banking and finance systems, and an English-speaking investor-friendly jurisdiction in the heart of the Americas.
In a world where the temperature of trade is changing and tariffs are rising, the need to source affordable quality goods from new markets has become even more critical. From Accra, Ghana, for the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Felicity Darville.
Bahamas' Prime Minister Philip Davis, meantime, comments on Cuban doctors. More in this ZNS News item.
Well, still talking other news, the country's record on international trade labor is again under the microscope after alleged leaked documents from a U.S.-based human rights group found that Cuban medical professionals are involved in the medical mission program and were paid as little as 8 to 16% of what the Bahamian government paid for their services. It is said a portion of the money paid goes to a third-party Cuban agency. However, the U.S. has long speculated the alleged practice is being facilitated by the Cuban government, accusing them of labor and other human rights abuse. Now, the situation came to a head last month with the U.S. threatening visa sanctions against officials from countries that knowingly partake in the exercise, calling them complicit in labor and human rights violations. The Davis administration has denied violating those laws, but has promised to review the aspects of the program. Today, speaking on this latest report, Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis maintained that stance.
I understand that the Cuban doctors are paid some funds here, and some funds are paid to an agency to ensure that the family members of the doctors here are taken care of whilst they're here. Now, that we are renegotiating because we cannot. I don't want to say whether we're satisfied or not, but we want to work that sense where the doctors themselves decide what they will send back home. At the end of the day, right, we accept the principle that the doctors should be paid directly. Any worker, just as any other worker here, should be paid directly, and what they do with their funds after that is up to them.
Over now to Barbados, where the governor of the central bank, Dr. Kevin Greenidge, is speaking out about the circulation of a deep fake video falsely portraying him. In a strong and direct message, the governor distances himself from the video and warns Barbadians about the dangers of financial fraud.
It has come to my attention that a digitally manipulated video falsely impersonating me as governor of the Central Bank of Barbados is circulating on WhatsApp and other online platforms. This video is a scam. It is designed to deceive and defraud individuals of their monies. Please do not engage with it or share your personal financial information in any form or fashion. This is another example of the lengths that people will go to defraud ordinary persons, and I take this opportunity to urge Barbadians to remain vigilant and to report any suspicious content to the appropriate authorities.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean.
In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.